You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more.
Wepa! What up, mi gente? It's your boy Al Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And today, we got an amazing creative duo, and they're sharing one screen. Woo-hoo! What? Let me first up, we have, right, Elle León Nostas, which is an award-winning Bolivian-American writer and producer, right? Executive producer and creator of the documentary Fix My Kid and a whole bunch more goodness. Then we're also going to have screenwriter, producer, and graphic novel author. He's a graduate of the MFA screenwriting program at USC, and a descendant of an amazing painter and more. Andrew Penczner. What is poppin', mi gente? How you doing?
We're doing great. What an introduction. I mean, the energy, we got to match that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, over here. The Al Mega.
Come on, yeah, I'm the Al Mega, and hopefully you don't put the mark of death on me, because this is what we're going to be talking about, folks, today. This dope new project from Bliss on Tap Publishing. Shout out, to independent publishing. We're going to talk about this amazing new book, and we got a tease and all. L came up and pulled up and said, "I got something for you." Oh man, we got some weapon going on in a little bit. But before all that, we need to learn about these new amazing creators, right? Because they're the future of the biz, son. I mean, both got amazing things popping off, new animated series and everything they're working on. I mean, there's mad bochinche going on here, folks. So, let's reel it back a little bit and get to know where they're from. So first up, Al, a little bit about yourself, where you're originally from, and give me your first love in fandom.
My first love. All right, so I'm Elle León Nostas. I'm a Bolivian-American writer-director. I grew up all across the United States, Texas, Florida, all over the East Coast. And, my first love, man, I mean, it's really hard. Black Hole, I don't know if you're familiar with that graphic novel series.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like this teen plague story that Charles Burns illustrated and wrote. And it's so dark and brooding. And it was the first time that I said, man, comics are so elevated. Like, graphic novels can be so elevated and tackle incredibly serious subjects. And the art can transport you in ways that traditional film and television just can't. You can absorb an image and look at an image. And, it's really, as much as it is a writer's medium, it is really an artist's medium, and the illustrations were so transformative for me. And and of course I'll throw out Calvin and Hobbes, because I can count that, I think.
Wow. See, I love that. The narrative is not superhero, which was great to show people how people get in, not necessarily through a superhero book, but sometimes you find this cool sci-fi, book, like, what's this? Wait a minute.
Well, it's huge. I think a lot of people who are new to the comic space always think it's like just a superhero. But I mean, there's so many stories, there's so many incredible artists, and it is one of my favorite mediums, I think, that can ever exist. I mean, it's just pure art.
Wepa, that's why you guys dove into it, all right? All right, Andrew, a bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm coming from the other side of the planet a little bit. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee originally. So I'm a Southern boy. I went to high school outside of DC. My parents worked in the political sphere. But the real, politics are just a little too real. So escapism was something that was really important in my household. So
please God, right?
yeah. So my first love, this is a real throwback, was Bucky O'Hare, which was like a 1980s comic. Yeah. But I was reading it from very young, and that kind of, the setup of that story is a young kid gets transported away into kind of like a space frigate and joins this kind of hunt for the pirates. And just the thought that like a young kid could be teleported to a new world and be a hero in that world was just, to go from your basement to like space was just such a big, cool concept to me that I was in love with it from the beginning.
Well, you know what, Andrew, according to the government, the likelihood is more likely nowadays, apparently. So let's see.
Yeah, I'm joining the Space Force.
Yeah, I want to see these uniforms and the little laser guns. And it's really funny. I see this ridiculous cartoon in space, with us up there. It'll be hysterical. I can't wait till they do a sitcom. So, Andrew, did you have a tribe growing up, within your nerddom, if you will, of Bucky O'Hare and then some? Or were you a lone wolf?
I had a tribedom and I was a big Magic the Gathering player. So I had a lot of friends who were in the playing card game scene. So we shared a lot of cool stuff back and forth there. But that was my tribe, was like Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering, and card shops.
Oh, what about you, Elle? Did you have that? Did you have a tribe since you moved around so much apparently?
I tell people your tribe is where you are, right? And it's, you can find a community anywhere. Us Latinos, I mean, we're just like, family, come here, hug. We can
what up? Let's get a beer right now. Let's go. I don't even know you, but what's up?
So it was one of those things where I always was a nerd, but in a way I loved everything fascinated me. So I could fit in any kind of group because, geeky nerddom, as people kind of call it, is anything. You can be nerdy and geeky about sports. You can be nerdy and geeky about anything. And so really it's just what gets you inspired. And so I would just find people I just love talking to people who love what they love. There's nothing better. They could talk for hours about like, oh my God, it's so good.
It's the fire in their eyes.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So when you see that, it just lights up the soul for real on both ends. So, so talk about then getting creative. How did that, your love and all that, if it was that led you onto a creative journey?
I watched a video from when I was 6 years old, and it's me dancing with a slate, and I'm just like, I'm going to go to Hollywood. and that eventually obviously happened. So, I committed my life to storytelling across whatever the medium, which is whether it's telling Indigenous stories, whether it's working with survivors of institutionalized abuse, whether it's making comics, or whether it's, whatever medium or story that excited me, it's about getting other people hyped, right? It's the fire you're talking about in people's eyes. It's engendering that in someone to say, wow, I really want to read this. I want to be a part of this and open people's eyes. I think entertainment and art are synonymous to me, which is that I think any amazing piece of work can reach people and can be, it can be accessed easily by others who really want to learn and grow about communities. So I spent every single moment of my life working on art, whether it was making movies. I mean, I went to film school. That's actually where we met. And
awesome.
Whatever it was, I was writing. I love writing. That's obviously.
So what is this? I hear this a lot. A lot of you writers go to film school. is this really a thing in the community? What is it that you guys get out of film school as a writer?
Honestly, I think what it was for me was we met at our BFA, which is at Florida State University. Shout out to the Knowles. Barry Jenkins, who you may have known, he also went to Florida State University, and it was one of those things where I realized this is a place where a bunch of creative people want to make movies all the time. They just want to tell stories. And that was our curriculum. So unlike other college educations where you're learning about business or whatever, which are all super valuable, we got to make movies for 4 years, just immerse yourself with a bunch of other people. And I think school connects you with like-minded individuals, and it became a tribe. Like we were talking about, people who inspire you, who you want to work with forever. And that creates a network. I don't think you have to go to film school by any means.
But like, unlike an English degree, film school really does focus on storycraft, and storycraft as like a viable product too. Just like how do you get your art from this place in your head to something that you can really share and engage other people with? And I think it goes above and beyond what an English degree would do in breaking down like what makes story good or what makes story compelling. And, how to build those little empathy machines where people trade their time for feelings.
And I think the other part is that, when I was younger, I was like, oh, I'm an artist and I want to make art. And it's like, the truth is that if nobody sees your art, if you can't connect to a large group of people, what's the point? Then it's only for yourself. And for me, it was like,
Is it truly art if no one sees it?
Yeah, like if it exists in our closet, everybody has an idea, everybody has an amazing story, but if it's just like in your closet at home or sitting under your bed,
right? It's dead. It's not alive.
So it's about reaching the most people you can, and I think the best stories are universal like that. It doesn't matter if it's about a smaller community or a minority group, or if it's a genre film. Great stories break barriers of whether you.
I absolutely agree. Everything should be about a great story. I don't care if these people. You can write me a movie about the Smurfs. You give me a tragic Smurf story, I'm in it. You feel me? I'm in it. All right, give me a good tragic hardcore story that I could care. All right. Yes. So Andy, you were giving me all these tidbits of how, film school, this, that. So how did you, reel back a little, start getting on your creative journey?
Yeah, I'm lucky to come from an artistic family. My grandfather was a successful painter. My dad was in the music industry for many years before he moved
politics, music, painting. Look at this guy. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all over the place. And I think that something that I've been very blessed to have in my life is a strong familial and community support to be very expressive and be very creative. Not everybody gets to go to a high school that's got an arts program. And I feel very blessed that I've always been surrounded by inspired and inspiring people. And I can't tell you how powerful it is to have a community of creators, of people who just want to bring beautiful things into the world, and how much fire that can light in your heart to add to that conversation. And I think that that's just a beautiful kind of way to participate in building community and building a meaningful life, is through expressive art.
I think we've met both of our families. We've known each other for 14 years or so. And I think that's one thing that was probably the most beautiful that we had in common, which we had parents who said, I don't care what you do, follow your dreams and go make whatever you want to make. Like they wanted us to tell stories, and they wanted us to go to invest in art. A lot of people are like, no way, absolutely not, you'll never make it. And
I know, like especially from the Latin side, the arts is not something that is seen as anything serious.
Exactly.
It's clowny, it's not professional. What is that? You're gonna make comics? That's not money.
Exactly.
To them, that's their whole no respect of art.
I was very blessed because my father, so we have indigenous blood, Quechua Aymara from Bolivia, and storytelling is in our roots, and so from the very beginning, he's like, you are a storyteller, you were born a storyteller, and you have to tell not only your story, but stories to get people to connect in this world. So, I mean, we had very good role models in that way.
Wonderful. So talk about that promance right there of you guys meeting and starting to create. I mean, how did this all happen?
Dude, I love the promance. I've never heard that before, and I think you're the first person to tell that to me, and I'm going to take that everywhere I go. Our promance, professional romance.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, you can go first.
We met in undergrad, and then we were just fast friends. I think that when two artists get in a room together and they're just like, I don't care what anybody says to us, we're just going to make it. Like, the band is going to make it. That energy is magnetic and has carried us so far. And it is so hard to get anybody to believe in you. But I can't tell you how powerful it is to have an amazing creative partner who wakes up every day and goes, you are a good artist, you are making good art, and let's keep doing it. And
it's called psychomagnetism. Jim Steranko called it psychomagnetism. Your people of like mind will always.
That has been a powerful connection and has fueled every word on the page that we've created since. It's just been a beautiful connection.
Yeah, it's been it was crazy because I think when we first walked into a room together in college, I don't think anybody was like, what, these two?
Yeah.
Why would they?
Couldn't be more different.
Our backgrounds are very different, but the stories that we love and the passion that we have and how we push each other. I think, I when I was in high school, I interviewed Will Smith randomly. But one of the things he said to me when I was a kid was like, you are who your friends are. And I was like, okay. And then I thought about it, I'm like, oh, that's true. Like, if you're surrounded by other people who are dragging you down or who aren't going to push you to be more successful, then where are you really going to?
He must be surrounded by people that like to slap, I guess.
Oh my God!
My dad in the music world would say, "Don't make your friends good musicians. Make good musicians your friends."
Yeah, true story.
Yeah, absolutely. Surround yourself with the best of the best. Be the dumbest MFer in the room. Why not? Yeah. Me, I love being that person. I don't care. I'll be there with a cup of water, listening to everybody spill that knowledge and let me gain the most, baby. I don't care. I got you. You know what I mean? I'll absorb.
Everybody has something to teach you. The good, the bad, be a sponge.
Yeah, that's all we should be. Instead of hating, try to understand and just, get it and, move on. People, it's easy peasy. All right. Let's get into the project, though. I want to know, when does this baby start being born in you guys' mind? La Marca de Muerte.
Yes. Well, for us, Mark of Death came from basically being inspired by grief and the question of, when you lose someone you love or someone you care about, you automatically go to, why is life so unfair? What's the reasoning for this loss? And where do you find answers? And it's an impossible question to answer. When you lose someone, there is no answer of why they deserve to go and you deserve to stay. And so we wanted to answer that question in a really beautiful way, but also action-packed comedy sort of way, where you take that question and give it an answer. You give it an answer. It's not just that somebody died. It was they were taken away from you, and there's an evil source of why that happened. And so we really bonded over this concept during the pandemic because, we've lost people in our lives, and we were thinking, okay, how can we process a lot of our own grief for people that we've lost? And it really turned into this crazy, ridiculous, world full of serial killers, and that you can summon like Pokemon, and it's a very dense world, but at its core, it really is a character study about a character, just Mark, processing the loss of his wife, the person he loved, and going on a path of vengeance to take on people responsible for her death. So.
When the real world wouldn't give us real answers, we decided to write a story that actually had answers so that we could engineer our own closure.
Heck yeah, baby, make it happen. Heck yeah. Now, before I start showing off the beautiful, beautiful pages that you're about to present, I got to ask here, what's the Pro-Man story on your artist?
Oh my gosh. So one of my mentors and best friends is Tony Anselmo. He's the voice of Donald Duck. He was an animator for Disney for years. He was one of the only animators and voice actors to voice and animate their own character. I mean, he worked on The Lion King. He was basically raised at Disney. And, we reached out to him and we sent him the script, and he's like, oh, I have a great, recommendation for you. And that's how we were set up with Stephen E. Gordon, who we sat down with Steve, and Steve was like, I'll read the script. And if I like it, I'll check it out.
Steven's pedigree is amazing.
Oh my God.
He was the original character designer for X-Men Evolution.
What?
He's worked on the old animated Lord of the Rings movies from the 70s.
Oh, no, I just seen those recently too. We watched them. I mean, it's crazy, the animation from then to now.
So he has had an enormous, we could not go over all of his amazing accomplishments, but for 40 years, he's just been doing amazing things with Marvel, with X-Men, and now he's doing directing work over at DreamWorks, and lots of really cool stuff.
Working with you guys. Jesus
and work with us.
And we're blessed. I was watching Steve's work before I even knew Steve existed. Gargoyles. There was a Batman.
Right up there on the shelf, I got two of them.
Yes, he was the character designer for Gargoyles. I mean,
Batman Sub-Zero,
Ultimate Avengers. I mean, he's prolific, and his character design is incredible, and that's obviously.
Yeah. I'm a big kid. I've seen all of those.
No, we love it. He is fantastic and so amazing to work with, and so thoughtful.
And there we go. Look how fantastic, folks! If this page does not make you say, "Holy shit, you guys are nuts." I mean, look at this, and this is like a typical day in New York, almost. You know what I mean? In Manhattan, with that damn traffic.
I mean, it's such a fun story, and he was able to bring so much to life for us in things that we just never thought possible. So, there's so many different concepts in the story, which is freezing time. It's controlling life and death with a cell phone. Everybody's given a predetermined amount of time. How do you
express? It's like some Black Mirror stuff. Oh my
God. It's like Andrew describes it as,
Death Note meets Men in Black a little bit. We all have these clocks over our head where we're not aware of it, but there's a secret society that kind of regulates it, kind of beneath the surface.
And this, I gotta ask.
Oh, we lost him.
Oh, I think you broke up a little bit there, Al. Having technical difficulties. Maybe we're frozen. Al, can you hear us? We are here. Well, while we wait, if we are still streaming live, we will hold up this beauty. Mark of Death, Year of the Rat, Volume 1. For those watching, feel free to take a look. We actually released it yesterday. It was the official release date. We had a release party here in Los Angeles. We were so thrilled, and people showed up. It was an absolute blast. And what's amazing about it is that even the pre-orders we sold out online, which is really amazing. Just the first batch, it was
The love for independent comics is just endlessly deep. I mean, I can't believe how amazing the entire comic book community has been from start to finish, just like meeting people from local comic book stores and other artists. And man, it is such a great community to be a part of.
And everybody, I mean, just the way that artists support other artists and they just go, because it does take so much work. I think that's something that people don't really talk about too much, which is, you're like, I'm going to make a comic. And then you realize what that means going into it, which is, we talk about working with Stephen Gordon. You go on a journey of just being able to look what frames are important, what added beats do you need to have there to make sure that you are tracking the character's progression and journey. How are these characters represented? Is the emotion correctly conveyed? Do the frames make sense?
Is every page a page turner? Oh my goodness. Like, we put so much care into this to make every page like worthy of your attention to go on to the next one. And
and we have a lot of 2-pagers, and that's something that, there's just so much art. And Steve, again, I mean, this is a prime example of the type of work that he puts into everything that he does, where it's so clear to see. And of course, we should have mentioned beforehand, it's a very violent,
definitely rated R.
It's a little bit of a violent comic, but it has to deal with death, which is, you kind of can't get away from dealing with violence when it comes to death. So, one of the things is that we do kill a lot of people in the comic, of course, in fun and really exciting ways. And I think that's the other part, which is not to just create something that's gratuitous for gratuity's sake. It's about making sure that everything is incredibly relevant to the characters and their journeys, and also make it funny.
Yeah. I mean, and every episode kind of really does, every issue really promises new and interesting ways to confront your own mortality and kill characters in story-driven, interesting ways. Yeah.
And we really want everybody to go out and get a copy, because honestly, it's dark, but it's also incredibly uplifting in a very strange way. I mean, we give you a major cliffhanger. I think that's the other part of it too.
And there's mystery, intrigue, action, exploding.
There's babies peeing on Mark. I mean, he basically gets the ringer of a life, which is, I think, what sends him down a spiral, which is, where do you find meaning when the person that gave you meaning is gone? And, he really spirals down this path of being incredibly distraught and depressed. And all he wants to do is die. That feeling of when you have nowhere else to go. But of course, he discovers very quickly that he can't die.
He can't die. No. He's being kept alive with borrowed time, something that is totally forbidden.
And that's when, of course, he meets the Order. So, there's we don't want to give too many spoilers. I think, we want to give a taste here. And, I'm sure Al will be like, yeah, did you guys keep going and give away the entire by the time he gets back?
But issue 1 is really Mark peeking behind the veil of reality and realizing how profoundly different the real world is from his perceived world, and how life and death doesn't work the way he thinks it works. And I think that's really our journey as artists, which is, we walked into this project with some preconceived notion of what life and death really meant. And this whole process has been this beautiful discovery of what that is.
Hey, Al, you're back.
Well, hopefully I'm back. It's crappy internet. Sorry.
Don't worry. We kept going.
We've been
riffing. Al, you set us up so beautifully at the beginning. You're like, this is about going deep.
Oh, we're going
deep. So we were talking about the comic.
Beautiful. That's what I want you guys to do. That's what I love. It guests that just know how to handle it. Al's out, no worries. I got it. You take care of it, and showing off this beautiful. And I wanted to say, on this, the third panel on the second page, very McFarlane-ish.
Oh yeah. It's very, a lot of what I love about most of the comedy that's buried into this work is that it's definitely not very subtle. But we were just talking about how you dive into this process of creating a comic book, and it's so much more complex than really you ever think it would be. Everybody wants to start making a comic, and then you start working with these amazing artists. And that's one thing we really wanted to do, is ensure that we worked with people who could elevate the project in a way that was meaningful and made sure that it was the best thing it could be.
And gosh, Steve delivered. Oh my goodness. The art is just unparalleled.
I mean, his talent is very, very clear. So
I'm so sorry, guys. I got like a very bad signal on my side on hearing you. So I'm gonna leave the link.
I think you disappeared. Comic Crusaders. I think this is actually part of the shtick. It's so that we actually are now hosting.
Well, we'll use this opportunity. What I love about this page, man, shout out to our graphic designer, Maiseta, who really helped bring some life to representing what the time codes look like above each person.
Finally.
Hey, welcome back.
Now I'm back. Now I decided to Spectrum. Ooh, I'm going to give you a nasty call after this show.
Oh no, Spectrum!
Yeah, there we go. Now they're gonna feel the wrath of Mega, baby. They have no idea what they've just done to me. How dare they interrupt what I talk with this amazing duo here?
You know what? Honestly, it's actually a blast. You got to roll with the punches. Just like in the creative process, you got to roll with the punches.
You got to.
And who does your lettering, man? Because that's something that definitely stands out.
We reached out to an incredible letterer. Okay, so this will be an admittance here. We went on, one of the suggestions we got was to go on Fiverr?
Yeah.
Fiverr. And so Reinhard Bouchan did our lettering, and
super pro,
super amazing. I mean, just an incredible human being. And we at first we were like, we'll do the lettering.
Oh my gosh, it's so impossibly hard.
That's
time consuming.
And time consuming. I mean, it is an art too.
It's very much.
How can you keep? Because it's about the art, and how can you see the full image without letting the dialogue distract from
or compete? Yeah, like the right size text, the right size bubbles, where they flow. The reading experience, man. We put a lot of effort in making the reading experience of this graphic novel enjoyable and keeps the eye moving. And man. Reinhard definitely delivered. Definitely,
it was a lot of fun and also collaborative in a lot of ways, which is creating each individual panel. And I think we probably have a lot more dialogue than a lot of other comics.
We pack a lot into every page. We pack a lot into every frame.
Well, and now it's a double issue, so that's the other thing, which is we wanted to start with a bang, basically.
Yeah,
which is we wanted to give people a full experience of what this series was going to be like. And I think that was a lot of fun.
So show off that book again, show off that cover.
Oh,
yeah, look at that. What?
Getting to focus, right?
Yeah, there it is. It's good looking.
And how thick is that baby? Wepa.
I got a real spine.
It's about 65 pages.
Oh, beautiful. Look at that. What?
Double issue.
A bang for your buck right there. What?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is that, usually these comics get priced incredibly high, but we said to ourselves, we'll make this $5.99 so that everybody can read it.
What?
So, yeah.
$5.99 for 6. Marvel will be charging almost $12 for that same amount.
So, it's we're very, very excited about people getting a chance to see it, because once you get into the world, I mean, you need that time. You need that page count to really get his journey, get the depth of the plot, understand how this new world that we're presenting works, and introduce the villains for the first time. And I think that was, we're like, okay, let's just go for gold. We can't do this in 15 pages, 30 pages. Let's go big or go home. So
gotcha. So is this world gonna get extended, beyond this initial 64-page, baby?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we have, our first arc kind of written out. We're in the process of coming out with the next issues, and it's in the works. We're simultaneously promoting this and working on the next few issues.
Yes.
So, and what's the plan then overall, the issue run wise?
So total, it's going to be 36 issues.
What, 36? Holy shit! Most books don't even get past 20 nowadays. So yay, I'm looking forward to this.
Well, see, we call it in seasons almost, because we come back from a film and television background, so we're like, okay, season 1 is the first 12 issues, season 2 is the next 12 issues, and so they get obviously pretty epic. It's a very large, fun story, with a lot of action, and I think that's what makes it really exciting.
And I think we live in the world where we love stories with closure. So we start the story off with a really compelling mystery. And by the end of the series, we answer all of the questions. There are no loose ends. Everything gets solved. And we've put a lot of diligent effort into not only having a lot of really great characters and storylines, but to actually fully resolve them and not leave anybody hanging about anything.
So what I'm reading from that now is that we have 36 issues to fall in love and get our hearts broken, because you're about to devastate us, aren't you?
Absolutely.
It's pretty devastating.
A lot of death, a lot of grief, a lot of love.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of comic book stories start with, these young characters who are excited about the world or want to bring forth justice and, get the opportunity to do so, or, they experience loss in some way. But what's interesting about Mark is that he's kind of, and this word gets thrown around a lot, which is anti-hero, but, he really is a character who is all of us in a way that he isn't a hero. And I won't give away too much of the twist at the end of this first issue, but he gets picked for a very specific reason. And it's not necessarily because of his capability. It's not because he's the chosen one. It's not that narrative. But what he ends up going on is, can a person rise to the challenge when they're put in an incredible situation? And what he learns is, and I think the bigger question, which is not giving away anything, which is who should be in charge of who lives and who dies. And that's one of the biggest questions that we tackle throughout the series, which is we all think that we could make the world a better place. But given the power, how would you wield it? And there's so much conflict that enters when you are introduced to that concept, which is everybody be like, oh, I'd kill all the bad people, and it's well, what world are you creating?
Easy. And who's bad?
And who's bad? And that's the best stories to us have, villains who you empathize with, Thanos. I was I'm with Thanos.
you understand them. Absolutely. Yes. If you would see myself back there, basically those are all villains that Megatron, Skeletor, Cobra, Dreadnoks. All I got is villains on myself. I can't help it. They have the best stories, and they only lose because, they got to teach you morality tales, right?
And I think a really great twist in this world is most heroes are out to save people. But in our world, the reason chaos and suffering kind of exists is because people are living beyond their time because somebody is manipulating who lives and who dies. So the way to make the world a better place, at least at first, is to kill people, is to take them out of, because they've been living too long. And so that kind of really starts to unpack a complicated web of am I doing the right thing by taking a life? And it's the thing that's up.
Yeah, well, and then you have people who go and buy time. And these are part of the kind of outer ring of our main central villains, which is they go and they steal time, from kids and families and whoever, because they want to live forever.
I'm just laughing now, thinking now people would open their door less on a Saturday morning. Not only could it be the Jehovah's Witnesses, you could be marked for death. Thumbs up, buddy.
Oh my God,
at that time I'll be like, please, I wish it was Jehovah's Witness and not this guy.
It's a blast of a comic, and we want people to enjoy the world. And there's so many things that we think people are just going to think about, as they go through it.
And again, and so is Steven also signed up to work with you guys on a 36 issue journey?
We already talked about issue 2 together. He loves this.
Yeah,
it's gonna be so awesome.
We're gonna be at San Diego Comic-Con. Steve's gonna be.
Hey, you took my next question. Yeah. So is that the next convention you're gonna be chilling at, or
yes,
something right before?
Yeah, we're gonna be in San Diego Comic-Con. We're gonna be represented on a panel there talking about Mark of Death.
Nice.
We're gonna be at the Bliss on Tap publishing booth. We'll also be over at Stephen Gordon's booth. He'll be signing copies. We are going to announce some amazing variant covers by some really great comic book artists.
Look at these teasers. You better go to San Diego, folks. I'm telling you.
So you got to go to San Diego and get an exclusive San Diego variant cover for Mark of Death, Year of the Rat, which is beautiful.
Really beautiful.
So is this your first con? As comic creators and putting a product out there and boothing and all?
We did WonderCon.
Yeah, we went to WonderCon.
You did WonderCon? Nice.
We didn't have a booth ourselves,
all right,
because it wasn't released at the time. But
Steve Gordon did.
Yes. And then I was on a panel to talk about, kind of the film and television industry and working with different IPs, whether it be games becoming movies or TV shows like The Last of Us, or whether it's comics becoming television series, you know, and for us, that's the path that we see for this, is having, you know, this amazingly large comic series that's filled with action and adventure, and then translating that onto the screen, you know, because that's really one of the reasons why we love the comic book medium so much, is because you can, anything you can imagine, you can put on that page.
Oh, it's so good.
You know?
It's so
as opposed
great.
to on the television, where, you know, a lot of the times you're restricted in what you can do.
Absolutely. Like, oh, I want to do this. And then you hear that, well, you know, oh, God, no. Damn it. I mean, I would love to see the cover scene happen as soon as the movie starts. Somebody's mouth getting ripped open. Oh, hey, what's going on? What are we walking into here? You open, if you and with somebody taking a photo, this is proof that you know, old man Abe is gone. He expired.
Well, you know, that was the funny thing, is we wanted to create something that was so tangible for people, and the cell phone became the biggest tool in Mark of Death, which is, you know, Mark starts as a process server wherever, you know, he delivers papers to people and he takes their picture to, you know, guarantee that he served them. And then of course he's like, oh my gosh, I never have to do this job that I hated ever again. And then it's like, well, yeah, well, here's how it works with death. You take a picture.
You use a cell phone.
Confirm the kill, and you're off. All right, buddy. Like, Jesus Christ, what did I get myself? I want to do a selfie. Hey, selfie serve. Hey, serve. Smile. I had a brother-in-law that did that. He said that he only lasted like a week. He says, "Nah, man, people chase you." I'm like, what?
I bet.
He goes, people chase you. I'm good. He goes, I can't be running like this. I'm getting too old.
Well, you know, that's why he chose, you know, Mark kind of has that job where everybody hates him.
Yeah.
You know, so at the beginning, he hates himself and everybody else hates him because, you know, he's serving papers.
Yeah. We wanted a character who wanted to serve justice, but in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
Man, is that being served? All right. But yeah, there's going to be 36 issues of goodness from Bliss on tap. I mean, 64 pager out now, available now. The link's below. It's also on screen. Look how easy. Go to blissontappublishing.square.site. You can look up Mark of Death Volume 1. Just Google that bad boy. You're going to see that gorgeous cover. You know what I mean? And it's going to be a wrap. You guys are going to be digging it. All right. You know, I mean, you see the teasers in the background behind them as they show off, you know, that war porn back there. You know what I mean? So, and of course, they're going to do the next con. Now, this is the last question, guys.
Okay.
You know, you guys have been doing your thing. You're passionate, smiling, and happy. I love this. You guys have this wonderful energy. You know, that it goes to show you have a strong belief in your project, and I love that. So what type of advice would you give, you know, them youngins trying to step into the game right now too?
I think the most powerful thing about anybody's artistic journey is to celebrate every milestone and step forward. It's easy for us to be really excited about our completed novel, but there are a lot of roadblocks along the way that could have stopped us. Getting the script made, securing an artist, getting that first page in, all of those are valuable, amazing experiences and deserve celebration, because to get any art brought into this world is a labor of love, and it should always be celebrated.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a marathon, not a race. And when you're going to do it, I tell everybody, don't do anything without giving it every single part of yourself. You know, so many people want to take shortcuts to deliver whatever it is they have because they want to just get to the final product and get to the finish line. But great work takes time, and it also takes incredible collaborators. I mean, this comic would not have been possible without an incredible tribe of people, a group of people who are our friends, our family, mentors, people who will read over and say, does this make sense? Does this not make sense? You know, being careful with, you know, what you put in the comic to make sure that also you're being representative of not only your voice, but everyone else's voice. You know, you want to create something that speaks to everybody and is beautiful and accessible. And so I think it's not only just celebrating every step of the way, but making sure that the time, energy, and effort you put into this is well used. You know,
absolutely agree. Wonderful words there. So let me just say that as a fan to creators. Thank you guys for being so brave and bold and sharing your journey, your story, and your vision with us. I appreciate the crap out of it. You've made a fan out of me, and I can't wait to get my own copy over here at the website, Bliss on Tap Publishing. I mean, show the love, and I hope to see you come over to the East Coast cons as well one day.
Oh, yeah.
Come over to New York, man. We get some good pizza, and I want to pick up a signed copy of the book. All right?
Yes, absolutely. Pizza's on us, Al.
Yeah, a real slice. Where you guys live, you're probably not getting some good slices right now.
No, it's all tacos here.
I mean, good tacos though.
Oh, best tacos.
Yeah, oh man, now you're making me hungry. I can't. You know what? I got two things to do: install Spectrum and get some tacos. All right, from around here. All right, I gotta find a good spot. Actually, there is. I'm lucky. Yay! So, folks, I've been showing these off. You gotta show support and love to amazing independent creators right here. Go and follow Elle on Instagram, Elle León Nostas. All right. I love the name Elle León, which translates to the lion. And of course you can follow Andrew on Instagram as well at the Pens. That sounds so. It sounds like a Goomba from Brooklyn back in the day. Somebody you seen the Pens around? Yeah, I don't know where the Pens is at. I love it. And of course, buy the book over here. And do you know that the book also has its own Instagram? So check out Mark of Death Comic on Instagram. You get teas with beautiful art and more. They already told you they're dropping some variants. So maybe they'll do some early teas in there as well. Wepa! All right? You know what it is. Appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for coming on. To my fellow Crusaders, thank you for watching and tuning in. Again, show the love, support independent. Subscribe, turn on notifications, all right? Hasta la próxima, mi gente. Much love. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.shop and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.